Good morning, Marissa. Good morning, beautiful
All right, let's give a couple minutes here and we're going to get started. Topic we're going to talk today is about giving. And, the course has a lesson called Giving as I Receive. I learned to give as I receive today. So, what am I receiving? What am I giving? That is the question for the day. And we'll give it a couple minutes here to give everybody a second to join. I forgot to even post this in the ACIM chat. People need reminders. Hey, Jen. Welcome, welcome. Good morning. Mm. All right. Hey, we're going to just give it a couple seconds here and give people an opportunity to join the Zoom. Today, I learned to give as I receive.
Alex, what's the lesson? What's the lesson number?
158.
Great, thank you.
Okay. So we'll get started and when people hop in, I'll just let them in. All right. So we'll start let's just start by grounding ourselves in this lesson today. And I'm not going to read the lesson, but I will read something else. And so here we go. Take a deep breath in. Let it out. And get present to this moment. Today, I learned to give as I receive. And the question is, what did you receive? What has been given to you? The knowledge of the fact that you are spirit, and in spirit, sinless forever, and unafraid, because you are created out of love, nor have you left your source, remaining exactly as you were created. This was given to you as knowledge which you cannot lose. It is intrinsic to our very being, and it was given to everything and all living beings and all living things. And by this knowledge it lives. You have received all of this, and all who walks the world have received it also. It is not this knowledge which you give, for that is what creation gave. This knowledge cannot be learned because it is intrinsic and inseparable from who you are. What then are you to learn to give today? Experience cannot be shared directly, but vision can. The revelation of oneness will come in time to every mind. Yet that time is determined by the mind, not taught, and time has already been set. It appears to be quite arbitrary, and yet there is no step along this path. And anyone who takes by chance each step has already been taken by you, although you have not yet embarked on it. for time seems to go in one direction, and that we undertake a journey that is already over. It seems to have a future yet unknown to us. But there is a plan behind all the appearance which does not change. The script has already been written, and in time, experience will come to end your doubting, which has already been set. And for all of us, with this knowledge, with this knowingness that is deep in your soul, deep in everyone's soul, this is what we will give today. It's a simple reminder. You are to remember enlightenment. It isn't something that you are taught. It can't be learned because you already know it. And so from this space, we reflect on giving in such a way. Okay. That's the opening. So that touched me this morning as I was listening to it. So I wanted to just read it. It goes much, much longer, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. I will put the video in our ACIM chat, and I will send it out in the text for everyone that has opted in. So, the conversation today is about giving. I titled it Giving as a Way to Freedom, as really our only way to freedom. The misconception of giving is really the reason why we are all stuck in this loop. And the Course actually says you do not need to seek the truth, but you do need to seek all that is false. So what does that really mean? That means we don't need to learn love. We are love. We don't need to learn it. But what we do need to learn is all the obstacles that we've created, all the barriers we've created from the recognition of love, which is your natural inheritance. So the Course is very simple and very logical. That's why I really love it. When I was growing up, religion kind of didn't have logic. It was just like, just do, don't think. Which is a good mindset. I learned that when I was pledging my fraternity. Just do, don't think. I'm like, oh, okay. I've taken that mentality a little bit too far sometimes. But the course is very logical in the way that it explains its things, right? There are consistency with the Holy Spirit. And then there is consistency with the ego. Both have consistencies. One is consistent in chaos and conflict and confusion. The other is consistent with clear vision. Both logically, if you follow it and you learn from that teacher, you will have certain results. That is the logic behind it, right? So whenever you do feel conflicted, you feel unmotivated, you feel anxious, feeling like there is, all the stress of the world, it's because there is one of the two teachers is speaking to you. And it is consistent in its messaging. If you are consistently experiencing confusion, overwhelm, stress, anxiety, lack of motivation, lack of passion, lack of inspiration, if you are consistently experiencing that, it means there is a teacher that you're listening to that's producing that result for you. And the Course says it doesn't require you to do anything. You simply have to think and shift your perspective. You don't need to do. Our perspective shifts, and in a moment, everything changes for us, right? We can feel really down, right? Our experience of the same thing can change drastically in a moment. See, that's the beauty of it, of studying the course too, because when you recognize that, wow, I'm feeling like just really down, I'm feeling depressed, or whatever you're feeling, I'm stressed. See, the awesome thing is that in any single moment that could shift. It doesn't require outcomes of the world outside of us to change. Something shifts in our mind. And then all of a sudden we're filled with gratitude and clarity. And then we feel better. And then we go back to it again. See, it's all instance. It's moment by moment by moment. And the beauty of it is that the next moment could be completely beautiful and amazing. So if you feel like you're lost, you feel like you're confused, you feel like the same thing keeps playing out over and over, a lot of, and this is kind of, and I like to bring this conversation up with money and financials as well, which most people don't. They don't want to mix the two things. But money causes us a lot of concerns and a lot of confusion and a lot of our motivation and inspiration kind of comes from if we have security with money or not. And we try to predict the future, and that's why we worry. We worry because we try to predict a future that hasn't yet come. And when it comes to money, it doesn't matter how much of it you have. If you have a certain relationship to money, and it will always remain the same. People can live paycheck to paycheck making $1 million a month. For some of us, we're like, dude, that's insane. But people do. There's enough ways to spend in the world when you have a certain relationship to things outside of you that you think those are the things that are going to fulfill you. I was with my personal trainer yesterday. He's younger, but I'm inspired by him. His birthday's coming up this next week. And he's like, every year, I just have to throw the biggest birthday party because if I die this year, I want people to remember my birthday. And I'm like, okay, interesting. But what he does is he blows so much money on his birthday that he spends the rest of the year making it up. And he's a personal trainer. So the moment that he loses a couple clients, a lot of stress comes, right? He'll wake up in the middle of the night, be stressed. So there's a relationship to the way that we give to ourselves and we look for salvation, right? Outside of us. That it has to be epic in a certain way, that we need approval, we need acknowledgments. And because we think that that gives us something, we end up giving to try to receive that, to try to get that. Right? I mean, we all know sometimes we're motivated because we're kind of manipulating in our minds. Oh, if I do this more, I'll get what I want. Right? For me, if I do the dishes and I take out the garbage and I do some of these things, then if I spend too much time on the computer, my wife's not gonna bitch at me because I went and did those things. If I just go now. That goes through my mind sometimes, right? And then I laugh at myself because I'm like, oh my God, how silly am I? Right? Just give to give. And that's the thinking, the intrinsic thinking and remembering that we have to remember that moment by moment, we gotta reflect on that and remember it. Is the way that we do everything. Are you doing it wanting something in return? Because that's how the world has conditioned us. I work, and in return, I need money. One of the first things that I teach all the teens that I work with is when you work, don't work for money. What other values can you receive and can you get? All of those things are going to be much more valuable than money. When you are chasing and working for money, you don't know what else you're receiving. You won't even see it. When I work with somebody, two things that I think about in my mind. One, is my mind going to expand or am I going to level up working with this person? Right? Like, are they someone that's more of an expert than me? You know, in any field. And everybody's is more of an expert than me in some field, something. Okay. The other part is working with them, working with an individual or whoever, will their minds expand as a result of working with me? Those are literally the two things that I think about. Money is important on some level, right? Money is an exchange of energy, I feel like. And sometimes having somebody pay you more is a service for them. Now people are like, "Ooh, what's Alex talking about now?" And those are the people that are probably afraid to charge for their own services. I deal with this all the time with like my coaching students and people that I privately coach as well. Is I don't know, I don't know what to charge. I'm like, okay, charge. You think $100 is good? They're like, oh, but that's low. I'm like, start with 100. Charge 100 the first time. Next time, charge 200. Next time, charge 400. 800, 1600, 32, 64. There is no limitations to what you can charge. But all of that, and this is why I talk about money and spirituality all the time, because what we're willing to charge and how we see money is a direct reflection to what we think we're worth. We've brought it down to how much we're worth in money. That's why people say everyone and everything's got a price. You just got to catch people at the right time sometimes, right? However, when you are deeply connected to spirit, to the world that is beyond this world, that at the end of the day, and remembering that at the end of the day, we take nothing with us. See, the memory of that, that hasn't happened yet. Time seems like it travels. I read earlier, time seems like it travels this way, in one direction. But there's a remembering of that when I die, I take none of this with me. Now that phrase itself seems to take time in two different directions at the same time. It's like, wait, I'm remembering something that is in the future. And so the Course says that all minds will return to oneness. All minds will remember love, remember who or what they are eventually. The journey has already ended, but we're only embarking on it now. It's like, whoa, we can think about that for hours. And all of us are going to return. The time's already been set by the one mind. And now from that space, we can we have faith in that? You know, this will kind of lead from giving to faith. Faith is everything. Now, I'm not just talking about faith in God or whatever, but faith is everything. Every one of us has faith. We just don't call it faith. And we don't even think about the faith that we have. You have to have faith when you go to sleep, that the next morning you're going to wake up. But that's like, so we don't even think about that. We're just like, yeah, whatever. We're definitely waking up the next morning. You know how many millions of people today didn't wake up when they went to sleep? But yet we don't think about that, right? See, that's the ego. The ego blocks all things that it thinks it can hurt itself. It gives you perceived value, which only comes from forgetting oneness, forgetting who you are and forgetting love. So the ego kind of puts a veil down so that you don't really remember why you're doing what you're doing. And this is the challenge for all of us. A lot of us can't remember why we're here. And that's why there's so much depression out there and a lot of frustration and anxiety in our world. Because it's exhausting to keep chasing for things that don't give us what we thought it was going to give us. And we chase it. We chase it all the time. We chase money, we chase love, we chase relationships, we chase sex, we chase whatever. Everything that's outside of us. Faith is the only place in which you will find peace. Now, all anxieties and everything that you experience today that is not, that you're like, oh man, I feel like shit. I don't feel inspired, whatever it is. Faith is to know that in any moment that can shift, like I mentioned earlier. See, the faith in that and that it will shift. See, not only is it that it can shift, but that it will shift. Faith in that will give us peace of mind. That any fears and any insecurities, any anxieties that you experience now, the next moment could be gone. It will be gone. And the Course says, that's finding the present. Each of us finding a present moment, and we give the proper acknowledgement and presence to the present. So when we learn to give, knowing that we aren't really giving anything or losing anything as we give. See, that's the big thing. Everyone gives on some level, on some point when we forget why we're giving. We give and it comes from sacrifice. I got to sacrifice something when I give. And the simple example I always say is, you give $100, you give $100,000, all of a sudden you're like, ooh, I sacrificed $100,000. But you don't. See, if you don't work for money and you don't give from that space of money, you go beyond it to the spirit of money. Giving of something will always be giving back to you, because you aren't giving to anyone. You're always giving to you. The big you that is included with everyone else. So could you possibly lose anything when you are giving to you as a whole? Like capital U, like you, not just you. That's hard. That's hard for us because our minds are constantly split off from the rest of our brothers and sisters. All of our problems come from our inability to give to ourselves. You think about that for a minute. It isn't about me not being able to give and give something to the world or whatever. It's our inability to give to ourselves. We don't want to take the chance. We don't believe we're worth taking the chance on. All giving is giving to yourself. All attack is an attack on yourself. If we can even see somebody else attack us, see, if we ever see somebody wronged us, and just, I think we can all think about somebody that we feel like has wronged us or wronged somebody that we know. when we think that they've wronged us, we actually attacked ourselves and attacked them before that even happened. The fact that I'm vulnerable enough, that I have buttons to be pressed, that I am not whole and complete and untouchable. See, we've attacked ourselves that we are something that we aren't. We are limited. We're not as love created us, as God created us. We're something else that can be attacked. And then we also attack others at the same time because of that insecurity that I can be attacked, that my brothers and my sisters out there, they can't be trusted. Right? People have different intentions. This is why a lot of the practices in the course is talking about notice the similarities, not the differences. That as a teacher of God, you have made one choice, and is to know that everyone has the same desire and the same wants, and actually will have the same outcome. As a teacher of God, that's your only requirement, is that somewhere along the line, you don't see people as having separate motivations, desires anymore. And from that loving and giving and forgiving space, anything that anyone does or says can't possibly touch me because I'm not attacking them. I see them as the star, as the light of the world. I see them as the light of the world. That means whatever they say to me can't hurt me. Hey, Natalie. So if we learn to give from that place, right? And a lot of when you're in an abundance and wealthy mind thinking, you're always just it's a service, it's a giving. And you give enough, the world will give back to you because you're actually giving to you. If we attack others, we're only attacking ourselves, right? We're saying how vulnerable, how weak we are, that we could be attacked. Somebody says, dude, Alex, you got a white shirt on. And if I see that as an attack, I'm like, dude, I got a black shirt on. And then we get into an argument. Then we talk about who's right, who's wrong. Then I make it that they're an idiot, right? That it isn't even about what you said is wrong anymore. It's about your character. It's about who you are. And really, I'm just talking about myself now. See, everything that comes out of our mouths reveals only ourselves. Now, that works on attack and judgments. That also works on love and forgiveness. When we see our brothers as healed already, we see them as loving extension of love and God already. They can't say or do anything that will hurt me because we are an extension of the same, of one. And so the course, from that thinking, from that perspective, teaches us forgiveness. That forgiveness is our weapon. Forgiveness is our weapon to heal our thinking, to heal our relationships, and to remember what's true. Sorry, forgiveness, I said we're not seeking the truth here. We're seeking what's false. Forgiveness helps us recognize what's false. We're just removing all the dirt and all the stuff to reveal the beauty that's inside already, who we really are inside already. Right? So that works the same way as love. As we give love, as we offer forgiveness, as we send light and love out to the world, it only comes back to us. You know, sometimes when I'm feeling super down and, you know, I get an opportunity to serve somebody, or when they come and they call and they're like, I need advice on this, but oh my God, I know you're busy. I don't want to disturb you. I'm like, yo, you just given me a bigger gift than you couldn't even think of. you can even know. See, I've also what I do a lot is I like to interrupt the pattern of thinking. Because it's like, whoa, our patterns are like, everything is so fragile. Oh my God, if we take the wrong step, we're gonna fall and die. So we tread so cautiously through life. And that closes and blocks opportunities. And as it blocks opportunities, it has us see ourselves and our brothers as weak and fragile. And when we see ourselves as weak and fragile, see, we don't actually say that. We throw a veil down. We're like, oh, I forgot what that's all about. But if you are super sensitive to anybody, to all the things, it means you see yourself as super fragile. Now imagine yourself with just this beam of holiness and love that surrounds you, and you cannot be touched. Now, the only way for you to actually recognize that you have this beam and this aura of protection is you have to be able to practice seeing it in others, especially those that you have a hard time seeing it with. Go ahead, Natalia.
I just had a big aha moment I wanted to share.
Do it.
When you said, when somebody calls you, gives you the opportunity, it's like they don't even know the opportunity they're giving you. What came up for me was like, oh my God, I do that. I don't call someone because I'm thinking, oh, they might be busy or whatever it is. Now it's like we text back and forth where I text back and forth with everyone to kind of like respect their time. And so what came up for me, not only do I do that when I reach out, but like I'm also, oh, what was it? Oh, damn. But basically I do it when I call, but also if I don't do that with other people, it's also like I'm not creating the space for like if I'm thinking it works one way, it also works the other way. So like, am I not creating also the space for friends or people in my life to call me and do the same, right? So because when I'm practicing it, so I'm gonna start calling people.
Yeah. And interrupting those thinkings, because that's the world we've kind of started to go down and really live into, is that we're just let's not bother people. And then in turn, we think everything's a bother to us. Right? Because we have to justify our thinking. We have to justify our actions. And the more you you have to interrupt those thinkings, because the more you actually make calls and you're actually making impactful moments, all of a sudden you're collecting evidence that, me calling is actually making me and this person feel better, and we think about each other, and we're actually building a better connection. Like I'm remembering my worth. Right? We're just basically taking the layers off of our judgments, off of ourselves constantly. That's all we're doing. And every one of us has crazy insecurities about ourselves. I don't care what anybody says. If you think you're a body, it's gonna come. It's all the way. See, all of us experience that. Now, can we start to offer compassion for others, no matter what they say, what they do, whatever is happening? Because ultimately, all I'm doing is I'm trying to offer compassion to myself. Can I love everybody, no matter what they say, what they do? That's the practice. And when something comes up, when I'm triggered about something, here's a moment of forgiveness. First, I forgive myself, right, for thinking that I'm vulnerable to it. Then I forgive whoever did something to me. Really, they did nothing. See, that's forgiveness from the Course, is that I forgive you for what you did not do that I thought you did. See, that forgiveness is really a forgiveness of myself for thinking wrongly. And it requires constant practice every single day. It's a spiritual practice. I talk about the importance of gratitude. Oh man, there's been so many. I just had an interrupting thought for myself. I told Jose that I'm gonna do my videographer that I'm gonna do like a a spiritual Sunday clip like every week. But every time I do these calls, I'm just in such a zone. He's like, you gotta write it down, and I forget. And by the end of this conversation, I have no idea what we talked about on this call. So I already forgot what I was just saying. Anyways, who else? Who else wants to share anything? What's coming up? What's coming up for you? What are you thinking? You know, what's any shares today? Go ahead, Marlene. The brave one.
Yeah, right, brave one. No, I wanted to share two things. When you said that everybody has insecurity, as long as we think we are a body, you don't care who he or she is, you know that to be a fact about them, right? The other day, which is, I tend to think and like just, I live a lot in my mind, I guess. I don't know if everybody experiences, but I tend to almost ruminate and say, visit things and what was this supposed to teach me, which is it's not bad, but if you go there too often, sometimes it's almost like a lot of energy is put into that, right? But the point was that day I was just being a philosopher, right? And I was telling my husband is for we women, I think that just the process of especially right after, I would say after kids, at least that was okay. It has been my experience. I'm not gonna generalize, but it's a very tough process to understand. It's not about us anymore, and then the process of aging, right? So it's almost like a little bit of you that what you thought you were kind of thing is dying, and you have to let it go. But that's why people say, I will age gracefully. What do they mean about that, right? It's almost like they are allowing that to be without them being against it. I don't know. But the thing is that my husband said, oh, trust me, for us it's the same. It's just that we do not talk about it. We don't, it's not like, guys, we're going to start talking about that. That's very, that's not going to go well. But it's the same thing. And I believe it's what you are saying. We are so much attached to that reality of us being a body. So how can we almost forget about that and be more in touch with who we really are? And then there are people that it's just so confusing to me sometimes, honestly, Alex, because then there are people that almost they deny that part of themselves and they kind of go. So they let themselves go and then I judge that too. So it's either like if you're too much into your body, I judge you. But if you're not into your body at all, I tend to judge it in my mind too. So I don't know. For some reason, I just want some advice on that, I guess.
Yeah. See, the thing is, no matter what we do, there is in this world a logical reason for us to judge it. Doesn't matter. People could be doing great. People could be doing bad. At all different levels, we tend to judge it. Now, can we see the practice here is that can we recognize that it isn't about the judgment? Like I don't shame myself about the judgment. See, I don't judge my judgment. That's the part. I have to forgive myself first. Oh, hey, here you are again. right? And a lot of times the Course says that through joy and through laughter, through comedy, healing begins, right? Like that's when you know you're on the right path, is when you can laugh about something, when you can joke about something. Now, you have to bring your mind to knowing that everything that I judge, I'm really just bringing it back to myself. And so it's not about doing the right thing or the wrong thing. See, the ego is going to be like, there's a right and there's a wrong. And then tomorrow, this wrong could be right and this right could be wrong. And then it just goes back and forth. And then we're super confused. We're like, I don't know the answer. Because I just did it this way and this way didn't work. And I did it that way didn't work. My teacher and the Course, says, like, that's basically being on the battlefield. Do I attack or do I defend? Do I attack or do I defend? Right? In moments, I'm like, yeah, okay, it's more noble to defend. I'm just gonna defend. Right? But that is an attack already. A defense as a form of attack is what the Course says. And all of us are really good at that. We make up the defenses for a reason to attack. We have a wall and we have an army right behind it that we're waiting to unleash on somebody. And we make it so that it's somebody else's fault that I had to do it. You made me do it. We've all heard that one. You made me do it. Look what you made me do. I didn't want to do it. You know how much this hurts me to do this? I didn't want to do it. Yeah, but let's be honest. You have an army for a reason. You're ready to attack for a reason. So attacking, defending is the same. Anytime that we see them as separate and we give nobility and give reasons to one or the other, that's why we're confused. We're like, wait, I've attacked and that didn't work. I've defended and that didn't work. So then what? I think there's only those two options. And let's just call those the judgments. There's a defense judgment and an attack judgment. Both of those are the same. You got to take the attack out of the equation. You got to take the defense out of the equation. That means the sword's got to be put down and the shield's got to be put down. I'm no longer even going to participate in this war. Now, can I walk? See, this is great. This is aging with grace. Can I walk through that battlefield while I think wars are happening and just walk through it without taking a side? I don't know if he's wrong or she's wrong or whatever, or they're right. And as I practice that, I no longer walk on the battlefield anymore. All of a sudden, battles are gone. And it's just flowers and harmony and animals just chilling. Right? That's our mind right there.
When does that happen, Alex?
I don't know. I'll let you know when I get there. But see, that's faith, though. Faith gives us security. All of our anxieties and all of our worries comes from a lack of faith. That in this moment, I don't believe that field exists. Right? All of a sudden, oh, I thought I was good, and then I see a little battle here. And because I see the battle, now I see battles everywhere. That's why when you see the battle, this battle is an aha moment that you get to sit with and transmute this. Recognize the battle in myself, and when I release that battle's gone. I don't participate. Now, if I participate in that battle, I will look and seek for reasons and justify my attack or my defense for anything. That means I will look for other wars, other battles that are going on. Wow, this analogy is great. I'm freaking having some amazing clarity moments as we're going through this. See, I can't reproduce this. If somebody asked me about what was the best analogy you shared, I can't remember shit. It's so bad. I'm like, you got to just be here, right? Like I can't remember it, and I can't watch my replays. Just can't. I don't know. Doesn't work. So it is what it is. But the battles, right? I mean, we're looking for peace, and it requires faith. It requires faith that it's there and that we're going to get there and everyone's going to get there. That's a vision that we get to remember and hold. See, our direct experience of that forgiveness of the battle itself cannot be directly shared with somebody. I can say it all day. But if you guys have battles in your mind, you can't even hear or experience what I experience. So we can't share that directly. But we could share vision. That's what I read earlier. Vision could be shared. Remembering could be shared. But that direct experience right there, that's up to you. That's every one of us gets to play that game ourselves, to clear that ourselves, to forgive that ourselves, to recognize that it's a teaching in there. Okay, that was awesome. I'm going to let you guys take the floor for a minute here because I need to reflect on that shit. Go ahead.
I had a beautiful moment with my mom the other day, and it just goes back to this battlefield thing. I was visiting my parents, and they were going back and forth and having arguments, and so I don't remember exactly what I said. And then she interrupted me basically without knowing she was interrupting me. She's like, you're always complaining about us having fights or something like that. You're always complaining about blank. And I was like, oh, damn, like that's not the miracle worker in me, like I'm actually like doing what you just described about the battlefield. I was kind of like engaging in it and making that more real for myself. So that was really neat to not hear this so that I can further understand everything that went down.
Yeah. See, the world, when we give our attention and we give our like, if the world is our savior, then there will be always moments that will call for us to defend ourselves. It will challenge you. Somebody's gonna just out of nowhere, dude, why are you always complaining about shit? And then all of a sudden you're like, what? And then now you're recalling, now you got to recall battles, right? Wait, no, I didn't complain there. Let me tell you when I didn't complain. Well, what about all the times you did this and I didn't complain? Right? See, now you pulling up and you're starting to see battles everywhere in your mind because you're recalling these events. Which those events, remember, the events was to help you remove battles from your mind. But because you chose battle now, you forgot, and then you look to all of them again to battles. It's crazy.
Yeah,
We're
like, it is totally crazy.
we're freaking crazy. Welcome, Shiva.
Yeah, we are. I read this book about how your personality isn't permanent, and he says you should never be a former anything. If you're the MVP, then you shouldn't even call yourself an MVP because that's the past. It's already happened. It's like your personality should be motivated by who you're going to be. That should get you excited, not what you've already done, not anything that came before, not any of the past battles that you won or lost. It's who you are going to be, and you know that you're going to be that. So it like lightens you up. It gives you this kind of like zest to like act a certain way because you know that's where you're going. And then I was reading this book about the Creative Act, and he was like, so they made this AI that could play a game of Go, and Go is like this like Eastern like chess game, but it's like more advanced. And they said that it came into being probably because generals were placing their pieces around the map to indicate how they're going to go to war. Anyway, so this AI was up against this grandmaster, and it was up in this position where it could either choose to attack or defend. And guess what the AI chose? It didn't choose attack or defend. It chose this whole other play that no other human being has ever thought of in all of history. And all human beings looking at it who knew the game were like, whoa, this is art. This is crazy. Can't believe it did that. And the Grandmaster had to leave the room for like 30 minutes. And it's like every moment is new, is what the artist, what the book author was saying. And it's like it made him cry because he was like, wow, like we're interpreting the present through the lens of the past, but it's like there are possibilities that no one's ever even seen before that we have not even taught to try or to traverse. When you were talking about attacking or defending, I'm like, what if there is a third option, Alex?
Yeah, there's always. What book is that? I'm actually interested. You know, you read a whole lot of books. I like it.
It's called The Creative Act. I will share both of them with you. And the other one is Your Personality Isn't Permanent. And it's kind of like we have this concept in our mind, like, oh, that's not my personality, but it's not true. Like every moment is new. And I'm not the same person I was 5 years ago or yesterday or 5 minutes ago. There's always we're always learning, we're always discovering new things. So the fact that we think that we're stuck like as a personality type is ridiculous. He's like, the only personality test I agree with are Hufflepuff, Gryffindor, Slytherin, or whatever the other one is. And it's like, we get to choose. So Harry Potter had the ability to be a Slytherin, but he chose to be a Gryffindor. And that is the real power there, that we have a choice of how we're going to show up.
Nice. I like it. I'm still stuck on that AI move. I want to know what it is. I want to hear that story.
Yeah, when I read it in the book, I'm like, this is the second time I've heard about this story, but I don't know the details. And that was the most details I heard about it. And I'm like, wow, I really got to find out more about this too. So yeah, let's see if we can find an article about it.
Yeah,
very interesting.
That's awesome. All right, I will forget about that. So if you can find that and bring it to the next call, that would be amazing.
I just want to thank Shiva for sharing. That was very profound for sure. Like every moment is new, and we know that to be true, but for some reason we keep recalling the past. It's almost like this is secure. This I know. This I know how to behave in the presence of the past. I just don't know how to behave in the future if I let this go. I think that's where our confusion comes. And by the way, for some reason right now, this Shiva remind me of something I've heard from Anthony DeMello. I don't know if you've heard of him before, but if you haven't, you can just go to YouTube and look for him. Anthony DeMello, to me, he was, I don't know, ahead of his time. How do you say that? Jesuita. Anyone who is really bilingual, please help out. But a Catholic priest, Jesuita, like the Pope Francis, that same. I don't even know how to explain that. Jesuita is like no, not. Anyhow, it's it's a part of the Catholic Church where you can really they tend to be very intellectual, and they are pretty intelligent, all of them. But the point is, Anthony DeMello always said about relationships and marriage. Who are you married with? Do you want him or her to respond to the votes that they did to you 20, 15, 10 years ago? Or do you want to fall in love with them every single day for the rest of your life? So that's basically it. I just love what you share right now, Shiva. So thank you. Every moment is new, indeed.
Beautiful, beautiful share, beautiful acknowledgement. I'm trying to write down some of the stuff from that analogy, and I feel like I can write a whole book around it. And I should probably take some time to reflect on that today. And yeah, it brings a lot of clarity. Who else? Who else wants to share something? So, when I was sharing earlier that like when you see a battle and you start to recall all the other battles, like you thought you were over it, you thought you have forgiven it. Every moment, if you forgave it before, right? That's like seeing one world, the vision of it. The vision, you're remembering that the vision is that it heals, that this battle served to heal me so that I could remember. But when you forget, you will call on that as a war again, instead of the healing that it once was, or that it could be, or that it is. And that's why the course says all battles, all your conflicts, all your judgments, all attacks are the exact same thing showing up in different forms. Every single battle is the same battle. And it's literally a battle of remembering or forgetting. That is it. See, we want to simplify that. Every challenge, every time someone triggers us, every time we have anxiety, the battle is the same freaking battle, just showing up in a different form. It's going to test you in a different form. Like, oh, yeah? You think you healed it? Well, here's the next level. Here's the next level. Because you got to shed all of this armor so that you can walk and see everything as you can be you can be at the kingdom, in the kingdom of heaven. But we got to let go of all the stuff that we're carrying with us. And so every time that you heal yourself from the battle, right? Like you saw it as what it is and that you were able to forgive it and let your judgments go, all of a sudden, all the past ones, you're like, oh yeah, I'm so grateful. I'm so proud of myself, how far I've come. I used to react this way and I don't. And it's just that will bring you a sense of clarity and trust and faith and belief again. And when we see the most calm and peaceful moment we feel is when we feel that faith and that trust. And it's when we have that, everything is clear. Like in that clear vision, like everything seems to be fine. There's no judgments of myself. I didn't, love does this all the time. My wife does this all the time. She'll go and delete Instagram or delete social media for a while because she's like, I just judging herself for doing it. Then after a while, she downloads it again, and then she goes on it like just ferociously, like just scrolling, and then she judges herself. Like, I was so unproductive today. I didn't do shit today, and just day after day beating herself up, and then goes into it again. Let me delete it. And because of that feeling of judging yourself, see what the ego does. This is the lack of clarity. This is when we've attacked too much. We've attacked ourselves too much that we're going to lash out at those around us. Right? So it works the same way. Sometimes we attack others to try to cover our own insecurities. Other times we attack ourselves so much, then we judge the rest of the world super hard. You can't escape the cycle. You can't judge somebody else and not attack. You can't attack somebody else and not attack yourself. You can't attack yourself and not attack others. All of that, when it's served, see, it seems very confusing when it's happening, but when you recognize what everything is serving, the same thing, is for you to recognize that there is oneness, that you can't escape from the connection of me to you. We can't escape it. Everything serves as that one reminder. But if you forget, then everything does not serve anything. Everything seems to serve itself, and it seems to be confusing. That vision will have you forget the vision of oneness. The vision of oneness will have you forget the vision of self-service or separation. And that's one of my favorite lines is the vision of one world costs you the vision of the other. And then we can look at ourselves every day, every time we experience something. Oh, there's a vision of a world right now. It's costing me the other one. Am I recalling battles? Right? A battle with yourself is a battle with others as well. There is no internal, external conflict. It's the same thing. If we can, if everything we see as one, see if we can see truth and interpretations as one, if we can see internal, external as one, if we can see good and bad as one, you and me as one, that's the vision. That's one vision. There is nothing from that vision. If you think something apart from that vision, you will lose that vision completely. And the experience will be demotivation, will be depression, will be frustration, confusion. Oh, there's a lot of visions. Confusion, frustration. Yeah. So the vision of one world costs you the vision of the other. If we can remember that today, and giving and receiving as one. That's the whole topic of today, is giving as our way to freedom. Let me see giving and receiving as one. That could be the ultimate, the single lesson for us is that as I give, I am receiving. That means when you pick up the phone to call somebody and you're like, wait, am I bothering them? Do they have time for me? And all the other insecurity stuff. You just do it. Because in my giving, I'm going to receive. In my receiving, I will give. I will give in the way that I receive. And it's not a separate thing. See, when you pick up the phone and you're calling to get advice or something from somebody, you think you're asking. You think it's a receiving, and we got a problem with giving just as much as we have a problem with receiving. Probably more. All of our inability to give is actually our inability to receive. And we get to a point where we got to justify our inability to receive. And the only way we justify it is an attack on the world. I can't receive because we think that the receiving has a string attached to it, because that's the way we give. The way we give is there's a string attached to it. That means if someone gives to me, I don't trust it. I don't trust it. I can't receive it. It's an attack on the world, an attack on others. We call it, oh, I'm not so good at receiving. But if we go more extreme, it's like, I don't trust you. That's why I'm not receiving. That's why I won't receive, because I don't trust you. I don't trust the way that you give. When's the other shoe going to fall? And we call that to ourselves. Our inability to receive and honor that moment and honor that person creates the other shoe falling. It actually generates the scenario and the environment for somebody else to pull the other shoe. Because our inability to receive. And our inability to give. See, it's one. There is no separateness to it. It's the same. That's why tithing is part of all religious work. Because there is one thing that we understand is in giving, we may be healed. In giving, financial freedom will come to us. Like, whoa, what? Not money. Anything but money. I'll give my time, not money. That's how much we've put money on a pedestal. It's on the altar as the untouchable thing. A good friend of mine once said to me that I trust you with my life, but I don't know if I trust you with my money yet. Money above life. Time. Money above time. Until we can write that order, we will be a slave to money, and it will always cause us anxiety and cause us depression. But there's hope, and it's in faith that in any given moment, it will change. It can change, and it will change. And in that's where our salvation lies. Our salvation lies in faith. All right. What's next? Who's got some thoughts? Or do I need to read a reflection in Marianne Williamson's book? It's the whole day's been full of reflections. We just woke up, or I just woke up. Just woke up right to reflections. Oh, man. Just flipped open to it. I only read the title. I don't know what it says, but seems like a good one to read. All right. So here's the invitation as I read this. Whatever comes to your mind, formulate it in a way that you can create a share. All right. Invitation, not have to. Get to. All right. Day 310 for reflection on moving mountains. We're all moving freaking mountains. We've all got the right stuff because all of us are hosts to God. His voice, and not the fear-based egos, is the voice we can listen to and learn to follow. Each of us is meant to channel the spiritual force of talent, creativity, and intelligence. This is nothing to take personal credit for, but nothing to apologize for either. As a child of God, you just happen to be the recipient of endless power and possibility. Whether or not you've always known this or practiced it, there lies within you this very moment of latent ability to create and achieve beyond your wildest dreams. And this never changes. No mortal condition diminishes the power of God. It doesn't matter what your resume is or how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made or how the economy is doing. It matters only where you place your consciousness now. Know who you are and who lives within you, and moving mountains will seem small compared to what you can do. Dude, I got chills down my back as I'm reading that. Or somewhere. It's like right here. I got chills right here. Right by my ears. All right. So, yeah, what do we hear there? That was so awesome. Marianne is ridiculous. I'm gonna go out there and freaking vote this year. Is it voting? Do we vote this year? When is elections? When does that happen? When can we vote for her?
I think it's next year.
It's next year? 2024. Sheesh. We need a change up in this joint. Marianne for president. Wow, that was awesome. She should make more speeches like this on TV.
Alex Lovely for president.
I'm the president of my own world. But thank you. I got one vote.
For sure, Alex.
What else? Well, what do we hear from that? I mean, this is, I need to read some parts of this again, right? No mortal conditions diminishes the power of God. It doesn't matter what your resume is or how many degrees it has or you have. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made or how the economy is doing. How perfect. I mean, it's literally talking about the economy in an economy that's like insane right now. It matters only where you place your consciousness now. Know who you are and know who lives in you. And moving mountains will seem small compared to what you can do. The remembering is the remembering.
Alex, could you please read that part where it says no apologies either? Something like that.
Oh, okay.
And can you read it like if you were running for president?
Let's see. I gotta find it. Each of us is meant to channel the spiritual forces of talent, creativity, and intelligence. This is nothing to take personal credit for, but nothing to apologize for either. As a child of God, you just happen to be the recipient of endless power and possibility. See who you are, this unlimited potential of this spirit that flows through you in this life. You do not need to apologize for that power. It's not yours. You didn't, it's not of you. You don't need credit for it. You don't need to apologize for it, nor have credit for it. Right? And actually, there is a beautiful Eastern teaching. Can't remember what it's called, but my brother Duty from Peru always teaches this, and I, in the beginning, I had a judgment. I was like, this dude does not know how to receive. Then as my mind started to heal from that judgment, that battle itself, I started to recognize, because what happens, he's working through a process himself. He does not want to take credit, and he does not want acknowledgments. He does not need any of it. He does not want any of it because he didn't do anything. Right? Like he was giving an example. I was sitting in a tantra class with him. He's teaching this, and he's like, when a kid is about to, if you're in a subway, like let's say you're in New York City subway, when a kid is running and about to run off the side and the train is coming, your natural reaction without even thinking is to probably grab this kid, right? Or probably stop it from happening. And then he's like, okay, imagine you did that. And it's awesome. You just like, wow, that just flowed through me. That just happened. I didn't even know, right? You're honoring this moment. All of a sudden, everybody starts clapping and cheering and all of that. And now this is when the ego comes in, right? Because you're like, oh yeah, I did something great. Then you start taking credit for what you don't, it's not up to you. Right? So something flowed through. So he's like, the practice is when things come, all the good, all the bad, all the judgments, it comes and it just goes up. And we became really close friends because we started talking about that all the time, because that is the practice. The course, when I teach the course, he was listening intently. He's like, wow. He's like, it's the same thing. He's fully in the Eastern practice. And I would say the course is more of a Western practice, but it's the same. And as we started to heal the common ground and heal the separation of East and West, it's, and it's interesting because he's kind of more like West, like born wise, he's more like Western. I'm more like Eastern, but we like flip-flopped and we're teaching each other the opposites. And it was pretty awesome as I started to heal, the separation of the two. I just began to see the world so much more clearer too. All people, all walks of life, everything. When things come, like I'm like, awesome, thank you, God, right? Thank you for that. I'll remember it. I remember the connection. See, our problem is that we lost the connection, and the losing of the connection has us give faith to ourselves rather than to something else. We put the faith in something else, in God, like in the back of our mind, even though we're doing it, and every day it's showing us, like I said earlier, you go to sleep at night, you got faith in something larger than you, that you will wake up the next morning. Right? So that's happening all the time. Like, we can't help it. When we get on an airplane to fly somewhere, we got faith that thing's not going to crash. Right? We got faith. We can have faith for all things good like that. The practice of faith for good things is the same as our practice for shitty things. Like our faith in bad things happening, the more we think about it, the more it becomes real, the more we see it. Our faith is just pointed in the wrong direction. And not wrong like right and wrong, but just in a way that doesn't serve you, that doesn't have you remember. So, yeah. Good talk. Good talk. What do you guys think? What's we got a little bit of time. I would love to hear from more peeps. It's a great topic. Great conversation today. I don't know if every week is this great, but every time I'm on one of these, I'm like, whoa, has it ever been this good? All right, go ahead, Annie. You unmuted yourself. I assume you're going to share something. No? Oh. Welcome back.
Yeah, no, thank you. But I wanted to share something that you just brought about money and life and scarcity. And I've been thinking for the past year, I'm like, oh, I don't want to work for money. I just want to do charity or volunteer. And then together with that, with my counselor, she's like, well, you have self-worth issues. You don't value yourself enough. So when you talked about it, it was like, oh, I see. And it has nothing to do, because you can have money, you said that too, but it's your relationship with it, and you can still live in scarcity. So it's, I've been struggling with depression, and so it spoke very, very clearly to me. How you do one thing is how you do everything.
Maybe.
Yeah.
How you do one thing can show you how you do everything, but it wouldn't be the truth for everything all the way around, right? Because if I'm passionate about something, I do something differently. I do it that way, and it doesn't necessarily reflect the way that I would do something if I had zero passion about it. So, I mean, you can say how we do. See, this is the same thing. Our ego gets in the way. How you do one thing is how you do everything. Boom, truth. Money is evil. Truth. But we cut out the other parts of it that really was what the love of money, right? That's the root of evil. We forgot about that. Which is like, let's take that part out, but money is just evil. And then our critical thinking is gone. Like, we've just set it into automatic, and we put it into play, and it just plays in the background for us. So, yeah. The how you do one thing can show you how you do other things, but it isn't, the truth about it, right? Like it's like, oh man, how I do this, it's, because then we attach all the other things we do. If we shame or bad and wrong ourselves in this moment, we do it to all the other things, which isn't really the case, right? So thank you for being on here. I think you showing up and being on camera is a contribution to how clear this call was for me. You know, especially because we had a great connection call this week. And did I send you a picture this week? No, I just took a picture and didn't send it. I took a picture of a Zumba class. I didn't send it to you. I didn't say, hey, dude, did you schedule and find one yet? I thought about it though.
I did go today. I did go though, and it did serve me a lot. You know, we just speaking. I mean, I think that's where we all connect to the call. It's just like, wow, it's just so true. You know, you're in the moment and you're in the flow of you know, I think the divine. You know, the word, and I know to me it helps me a lot. So thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. Thank you for being on here. Appreciate it. What else? We got another 5 minutes, 9 minutes, and you know, I'm extremely grateful for these calls every week. Like, I look forward to it. Probably the biggest thing that I look forward to really is to get onto these calls. You know, because even before there's moments that I get to practice every time. It's so strange. It's like before these calls, like stuff comes up for me. I'm like, oh, like, you know, what if no one shows up? I have zero evidence that no one will show up, but my fear is just weird, right? And I go on to, I'm like, what if I have no idea what I'm talking about? I just space out and I can't say anything, right? I'm like, if I just forget everything about the course, I'm like, what if that happens? And so I run a little show with myself before these calls. And I'm like furiously trying to find things in the course to read. And I'm reading all these different things and literally don't even open the book on these calls. This is what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to go like this before the call. I'm just going to let it just transmute the energy to me. There's no point. Can I please read that again? What am I reading? Let me see. Oh, okay. Yeah. All right. This is on Moving Mountains. Okay, maybe I'll take a picture and put it in the chat. But this is the book. It's actually super great. It's been, you know, I've actually been picking up this book more than A Course of Miracles. It's called A Year of Miracles by Marianne Williamson. Just super cool. I mean, day 310. And every time I flip open to any one, it just like resonates so much. I'm like, is she here? Is she here with me right now? For reflection on Moving Mountains. We've all got the right stuff because all of us are hosts to God. His voice, and not the fear-based egos, is the voice we can listen to and learn to follow. Each of us is meant to channel the spiritual forces of talent, creativity, and intelligence. This is nothing to take personal credit for, but nothing to apologize for either. As a child of God, you just happen to be the recipient of endless power and possibility. Whether or not you've always known this or practiced it, there lies within you in this very moment the latent ability to create and achieve beyond your wildest dreams. And this never changes. No mortal condition diminishes the power of God. It doesn't matter what your resume is or how many degrees you have. It doesn't matter what mistakes you've made or how the economy is doing. It matters only where you place your consciousness now. Know who you are and who lives within you, and moving mountains will seem small compared to what you can do. So good, so good. Right. What else? Couple more minutes here. So to sum it up today, right? And you know, I feel I feel today's topic, I wanted to share, giving as a way to freedom. Giving as a way to freedom is something that I strongly believe in, and at times it's a challenge. I'm like, wait, do I stop right now and give this homeless guy some money, or do I stop and give him time? And like we get to work on that every day, right? And so being charitable, tithing, like where can you practice giving today? And it's giving to yourself. It's no difference. Let me give myself the day. Let me give myself the permission today to just take a chill day. That's probably one of the biggest. See, we take days off of not doing anything, but we shame and judge ourselves for doing it. So we didn't actually give ourselves permission to be unproductive, but give yourself something today. Give yourself something today, and then give somebody else something today. Something that interrupts your normal pattern. And give it with pureness. Like I like to envision the color white when I do something. Like this is the way, it's white. Like is a energetic connection to purity, to innocence, to like envision it being white. Okay. Well, I think that's all I got today.
Call on your Bluetooth phone. Can you hear that? I just wanted to say, sorry about that. Your calls every week, and you never stop. How can I say, like, amaze me how real you are in these calls. It's like everybody out there is always trying so hard, and by everybody, I put myself, I guess, to put that face of I know what I'm doing, which I believe it's we're just trying to protect ourselves. I believe, but you are just so real, and I believe there is something inside of everybody that can acknowledge that and get inspired by it. So just keep on doing what you do. We all love you, brother. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It's all I can do. I can only do who I am. And in perfect conclusion, just to flip to another page, day 162, in giving to others, I give to myself. Ridiculous. Anyways, in the spiritual universe, we keep owning what we give away. Many thoughts that masquerade as self-interest are actually thoughts of self-sabotage. When I think about myself at the expense of others, I am subconsciously seeking to deny myself. Surrendering to the ways of God is not an act of self-sacrifice, but rather the opposite. For in withholding from God, withholding my love, I am sacrificing a life of spiritual abundance and emotional freedom. Today, I give my love to others, that I might feel more loved myself. Dear God, may I not be tempted to withhold my love. In surrendering to love, I surrender to the force that wishes for me my greatest good. The ego speaks, but the ego lies. May love drown out its voice today. Amen. In giving to others, I give to myself. Thank you, everybody. Thank you all so much for being here and contributing and making this call so powerful for me. And I'll see you guys soon. Have a fantastic and blessed day. Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace out.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.